Well, hey everyone, happy 2013. Can you believe it? Wow. Welcome to my little bitty itty teeny tiny like 500 or 600 square feet apartment. I'm coming to you from downtown Seoul, South Korea, and this is it. We've been here for, exactly 2 weeks now, getting settled in and just having the most amazing experience. But I am super excited about our topic for today. This is a topic that we have been promising you for several months now, and you have been sending in some of the most brilliant questions that just shows me that your perspective is in the right place, your heart and your desires are in the right place, and I'm really excited to dig in and get to the heart of the matter with this topic, which is building your business in the time frames that work for you. Okay, now because most people that are going to be watching this video will be specifically looking to build a daytime business, that's what we're going to use as our conversation point and as our example. How to build your business during daytime hours, specifically a direct selling or network marketing business during the daytime hours, okay? While your kids are at school, while your family is at work, so that you can get the job done when everyone else is away, and then when they're all home, you can all play, right? So you can be there for your family when they need you, and then you can provide for your family when they are at school and work and doing their various activities. But again, I want to say this as a very important disclaimer. These same concepts are applicable no matter what time of day you may be wanting to work your business. So for example, you may be working a full-time job right now and you're trying to replace that income, but you've got to build it up at nights and on the weekends when that's your only opportunity to work, because your time is not your own during the day right now. And by the way, that's how I personally got started in the direct selling industry. I had to build up a successful, lucrative business at night and on the weekends. And then once I was able to replace my full-time job and work for myself, then I switched it. And for a long time, I built my business during the daytime and at nights and on the weekends. And it was only many years later, after I had my son and I got really clear on the fact that I wanted to be at home with him at nights and on the weekends, and I was tired of working at nights and on the weekends, then I made the intentional decision to target a new market, if you will, and purposefully made that switch into doing the vast majority of my business. Like now probably 99% of my business is done during the day, and only very, very seldomly am I doing activities at nights or on the weekends. So again, it's a conscious choice. There are people everywhere. But what we've got to do is understand how to figure out what's going to be best for us, how to find the business that is the right fit for us, and then how to identify and find the people that are the right fit for us and the business that we have chosen. Now, that is no small feat. Of course, it's easier said than done, but it can be done. Anyone can do it. And with just a little bit of creativity and persistence and digging in, we can certainly make this happen so that you can truly build a life that you absolutely love. So let's hop in. Right now, it is exactly high noon on Thursday here in Korea, which means on the other side of the world, where most of you guys are, I am 15 hours ahead of the Central Time Zone in the U.S., 17 hours ahead of the Pacific Time Zone. So right now at noon on a Thursday, it is what is it? Let me think about this. Noon on Thursday is 7 p.m. on the West Coast and 9 p.m. Central Time, 10 o'clock Eastern. So it's yesterday for you guys, today for me. We've been telling JD that he's living in the future compared to his grandparents when he's talking to them on Skype, which is very hard concept for him to wrap his brain around. But anyway, wherever you are and whatever time zone that you are in, as you are watching this video, I want you to get comfy, prop your feet up, grab a cup of coffee or a glass of wine or water or energy drink or whatever you need to make sure that you are alert and ready to jump into this material. And I also have here a list of questions that you sent me ahead of time, that many of you sent me ahead of time, that are perfect for this, that I'm so grateful that you took the time to share your questions and thought with me, and we're going to incorporate all of those into this training together. So grab a pen and a piece of paper. Now, for those of you that may have already seen it, or you remember that it came out a couple of weeks ago, and if you haven't yet, it's still there available to you on recording, that you're certainly welcome to go back and either listen to it again as a refresher or listen to it for the first time if you haven't had a chance to do that yet. But a few weeks ago, I actually made part 1 of this video on this exact topic, and it was figuring out which business is the right company for you. And as a result of recording that video, several of you had a couple of follow-up questions for me on that topic. So we're going to address those first to kind of tie up those loose ends, and then we're going to jump into our topic for today, which is, okay, how to map out your time. If you know roughly that you want to build a daytime business, for example, how do you map out your time, and then how do you stick to that time, and how can you be confident in the time frames that you have chosen? So that's one piece that we're going to address today for sure. Now, I'm not exactly sure how long this video is going to last, because I'm not sure how long it's going to take us to get through this material. But what we may need to do is turn this into a series of a few short clips so that we can make sure and get through all of the questions that you have, because you know, it's been really interesting watching your questions come across and some of the comments that you've been sending to me via Facebook and email. You know, I always believe that as humanity, we're all connected. I mean, there is no doubt about the energy in this world and how we are all connected together. And when many of our thoughts seem to be on that same plane and in that same field of energy, I can tell there's something going on within us as a community, and it's something that I don't take lightly, and I want to, if that's something that many of us are going through and experiencing right now, I want to make sure that we address it so that you can feel confident in how to attack and embrace this new chapter of your life. So let's go ahead and go over to the follow-up questions from our first video, and then we'll hop into the actual logistics of planning and adhering to your time within your specific time slots. Okay, we've got 4 follow-up questions that I've whittled it down to, narrowed it down to from all of the different feedback that came back from the first video, and the common themes seem to fall under these 4 main questions. So let's address these really quickly. Question number 1 is, how long do I stick with the company before I make a change? It doesn't seem to be working for me, fitting with my family. So how do I stick with the company, or how long do I stick before I make a change? That was the major question. Okay, now, whoo, this is a bit of a loaded question, and I probably need to take a step back on this one, because I want to look at making a good decision, a wise decision, and a sound decision versus just playing the blame game and blaming the company, okay? And then the other piece of that, or the other face of that, is if you will, is sometimes we just stick around too long. You know, if the horse is dead, get off, okay? And what I'm saying, if the horse is dead, get off, I don't necessarily mean that the company is dead. It doesn't mean that the company is a bad company or that there's anything wrong with the company, but it just may not be the right fit for you. And if that's the case, it's okay. Now, I'll share this with you, that for a long time, I had, and I'm choosing my words very carefully. I'm sure you could probably see that, but for a long time, I held the belief. I inherited the belief, if you will. I was taught a belief that you just stick it out no matter what, okay? And if it's not working, then it's your fault. And, you know, anybody can make this work. Anybody can make this happen. And look at all the people who are making it work. So don't blame anybody but yourself if it's not working. Now, that belief in and of itself is probably accurate, okay? Yes, anyone can make any one of these opportunities work, but there are opportunities and there are companies that fit better certain types of people, certain types of personalities, people that have certain life goals or that are in different seasons of life or stages of life or have different priorities and, again, values. And it doesn't mean that one company is good and one company is bad, one is right, one is wrong. It doesn't mean that people are better or worse or winners or losers in these companies. What we're talking about is finding the right fit, okay? Now, when I was first introduced to the industry, I was introduced to one company. I didn't know that people hop from company to company to company a lot. When I saw people that were doing that, I thought, oh, they're just skimming the surface. They're not applying themselves in any arena. It wasn't until years later, after I had left my first company, that I realized that it's actually a very strong statistic that most people that are making $100,000 a year in the industry, and most people that have passed the $1 million mark that are making either, you know, $1 million gross across their career or $1 million on an annual basis, I didn't know that most people don't do that in their first company. It takes them 2 or 3 or 4 to, first of all, grow up and wisen up and toughen up and learn the ropes. But then it also takes them that long to really learn who they are and figure out the right fit. And it takes getting out into the world and kind of becoming seasoned and gathering that wisdom before we can dig in and before we really feel confident and secure in ourselves and in the big picture and in our company and how it fits into the world around us. And it's when you're coming from that place of confidence, you don't have to be defensive of yourself. You don't have to be defensive of your company, because you can be, you don't have to live in fear. See, what I, the way that I was operating, I think was fear-based, because I was afraid that if people left, I wouldn't get them back. And if they left, then I would have to find more people. Or if they left, it meant something bad about my company. And that's not the case. Again, it's not bad, good, right, wrong. It's just finding the right fit. Now, could you have the quote-unquote perfect company and still have people that are going to come through and not succeed? Absolutely. Absolutely you could. Okay? Because also you have to look at your own personal skills, your people skills, your personal development skills, your character, your integrity, your persistence, your discipline, your work ethic. You know, all of those things are factors, okay? But they're not the only factors. You also have to look at the company, the leadership, who your team is, how it fits in your life, and if you are in a place in life where you can really roll up your sleeves and dig in. Okay? So, for whoever needs to hear this information, I just want to give you permission, if you need it, that it's okay if the company that you started in is not the company that you're in today. Or if you feel a need to find a new company. Or if you need to just forgive yourself for whatever happened in the past to allow yourself to start fresh. It's okay. Or maybe you want to go back to a company that you had experience with in the past and you want to start over and do it again. It's all okay. Just forgive yourself, love yourself, enjoy the journey, find the humor in the experiences, chalk them up to lessons learned, but let's hope, God willing, that we learn the lesson and then we can move on smarter and wiser. Okay? So, how to evaluate and really take a look at how long do I stick with a company, and am I making a good decision? Okay, few things here. First of all, you know what? I'm not even gonna say that as a solid truth. Okay, when you are in a company in your first 1, 2, 3 months, okay, unless there's just something really bad going on that you just get a yucky feeling that you know your core is telling you get out, I would say give it at least a year. At least a year, 6 months to a year. And guys, that flies by so fast. But give it at least 6 months to a year to give yourself the opportunity and the time that you deserve to dig in and make it work. Okay? Those skyrocket success stories, came in and made $1 million in 3 months. I mean, they happen, but they're rare. Okay? And you want to build your life and your business on the rule, not constantly expecting to be an exception to the rule, right? So give yourself sufficient time to get in there and learn the business. Have you really applied yourself? Have you learned it? Have you found a good mentor that fits you, that fits your lifestyle, that fits your personality? And have you stuck to them like glue and followed them around like a puppy dog everywhere that they go, learning the ropes, learning the systems? Have you given it sufficient study time? Have you learned from the masters? Have you learned from the best? Have you internalized it so that you can give a killer presentation in your company? That you can use the flip book, or you can use the PowerPoint slides, or you can use the iPad presentation, and you can give a killer product demo. Not being an amazing public speaker. Because sometimes that even scares people off if they think, oh, I've got to be as perfect as you to do this. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, have you learned the system? Can you plug into the existing system, whatever yours is, and follow it and feel confident in the system? Okay? Ask yourself, have you done that? Are you allowing for your cup to be refilled on a regular basis? Are you going to the weekly training events, to the quarterly regional events, to the annual or biannual company events? You've got to plug in and become a part. You've got to fit into the fabric, and you're doing yourself an injustice. You're selling yourself short if you don't give yourself at least a year of that cycle to evaluate whether you jive with the company, whether it's the right fit for you. Okay? Then another thing that I would ask you to do is, have you looked around and have you studied the success stories within your company? And what do I mean by that? Look at the people at the top. Okay? Is it always new people that are coming to the top? Now, not that the old ones are leaving and failing, but is there a constant flood of new people joining the ranks at the top? Or has your company been talking about the same 10 people for the past 10, 20 years? Okay, look at the lid at the top of all the people in your company. Maybe a small company of just, 10,000 people, or it may be a big company of 1,000,000 people. Okay, but however many people are in your company, look at the top tier and look at, is it constantly new and fresh people that are joining the ranks, or is it the same 10 people that have been there for 20 years and they continue to be the ones that are spotlighted? You've got a few flashes in the pan here and there, but is it a constant flood of new success stories? How fresh and new is the opportunity? Okay, is it possible for people to come in and still make solid, sustainable income? All right, look also at the compensation plan. Okay, some people know it as compensation plan, some people know it as marketing plan, but look at the income plan, if you will. Okay, the path to make money, and look at it. Take a step back, look at your top 2 or 3 options. Okay, and look at the phrase that I was taught was the money trail. Follow the money trail, and look at what it's required to do in these different options, and look at what does it take to really make money, and work backward to reverse engineer your desired income. What do I mean by that? Well, let's say that you want to make $5,000 a month, or $10,000 a month, or 20 grand a month, 20 grand a week. I don't care, whatever it is that you want to make, and look at the pay plan and really dissect it to figure out, what is it going to take for me to do on a regular basis to make this kind of money, and how many people are making this in my company, and have I asked them, what does it take to make it? And if I stop this certain activity, is my income going to continue to grow, or is my income going to stop along with my activity? How many people do I need in my organization to expect this type of income? Question everything. It's one of the things that I have learned that have served me better. Now, it's made me a bit of an outcast. I will tell you this. It's made me a little bit of an outcast, but it has served me well, is to question everything. Don't just accept the status quo because it's the way things have always been done. Okay? That's the worst answer ever. Question everything, and don't stop questioning it until you get the answers that you want. Okay? And then, once you've got all of these answers, then you can put them on paper, and you can look at making a calculated, educated, objective decision on, should I stay, should I go, should I find a new company, or should I just overhaul myself within my existing company? And again, it's not a right or wrong, good or bad answer. It's what is going to be the best fit for you. And guys, be okay with whatever that decision is. It's nobody else's life but yours. Don't feel like you've got to get permission of the crowd and of your peers to make that right decision. In fact, there's something I want to share with you. Hang on, I'm going to put you on pause for 1 second because I want to grab a quote to read to you that's extremely relevant to this particular topic. 1 second. Okay, I have it. Now, this is coming from my annual review of course, the world's first and foremost and leading book on personal development that led to every other book that is in the universe today, and it was Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. So I reviewed this book. I wrote this 36-page summary of the book, and this is what I go back and I review it every year. Now, in the back of the book, in chapter, let me see what chapter this is, for those of you that have a copy of this book at home or that you want to pick up a copy, but it's chapter 15, and it's called The 6 Ghosts of Fear. And it says that indecision is the seedling of fear. Indecision crystallizes into doubt, and then the two blend and become fear. They germinate and grow without their presence being observed. Before we can master an enemy, we must know its names, its habits, and its place of abode. So as you read, analyze carefully which of these are haunting you. And then it gives 6 basic fears, but the first 2 are really at the bottom of most people's worries. And it's the fear of poverty and the fear of criticism, okay? So every human being has the ability to control his own mind, and with this control, obviously, every person may open his mind to tramp thought impulses which are being released by other brains, or close the doors tightly and admit only thought impulses of positive influence or influences of his own choice. Now, it goes on to talk about the fear of poverty, which is extremely powerful, but that is not within the realm of today's conversation. So I'm going to fast forward past that onto the fear of criticism. Poverty is the first major fear, and criticism runs a close second. And it says the fear of criticism, in other words, the fear of what other people think, robs man of his initiative, destroys his power of imagination, limits his individuality, takes away his self-reliance, and does him 100 other ways of damage. And it says one's nearest relatives are often the worst offenders. The fear of criticism is almost as universal as the fear of poverty, and its effects are just as fatal to personal achievement, mainly because this fear destroys initiative and discourages the use of the imagination. So here are the major symptoms to look for: self-confidence, or self-consciousness, lack of poise, personality. It says, the ability and the confidence to express your opinions, definitely. And then it says lack of initiative and lack of ambition. So here's the point that I'm getting to. Listen to this. Lack of ambition, mental and physical laziness, lack of self-assertion, being too easily influenced, the habit of criticizing others behind their backs and flattering them to their faces, the habit of accepting defeat without protest, or quitting an undertaking when opposed by others. Now, guys, without doubt, the most common weakness of all human beings is the habit of leaving their minds open to the negative influence of other people. So what does this mean? It means that we have got to have the courage and the ability to make up our own dang minds. That's it. Bottom line. Okay? So if I know that it's time for me to make a decision and close the door or open a new one, do it. Indecision will kill you. Okay? But whatever it is, the biggest mistake that we can make, this is John Maxwell, the biggest mistake we can make is living in the fear of making one. So whatever decision that you want to make, do it and get on with the show, okay? Now, how do I make a decision versus, and make a good decision versus blaming the company or blaming myself? Guys, it's not about blame. Where does blame get us? Okay, blame doesn't get us anywhere. Just look at, have I given this a true effort? And if I have, and if for whatever reason it's not producing the results that I want, it is okay. If you take a time out, if you step out, and if you reposition yourself to go find something else that's a better fit for you. Now, again, another disclaimer, if what you're doing is working, if you're having fun, if you're making money, if you are growing as a person, if you are helping other people, if you're bringing values to others, if what you're doing is hurting no one and helping everyone, and you feel fulfilled, don't rock the boat. Don't question it. Don't send yourself into some psycho self-analysis when it's unnecessary. If it's working, don't deviate. You only go through this process if you're frustrated or stuck. Okay, everybody clear on that? Okay, question number 2 and 3, in the interest of time, I'm going to combine them together. Okay, question number 2 was, how do you find a good company? And then question number 3 is, what would you do if you were starting from scratch? Now, I'm looking at the time. I'm looking at what I promised you to deliver for today. Here's what I think I'm going to do. I think we're going to punt and kick. I think I'm going to sidebar these 2 questions because they're excellent questions. And I know that there are many of you that have been out of the industry for a while, or you're looking to get back into the industry, or you've just kind of been tinkering with it from time to time, and you're looking at taking it seriously in the new year, and you deserve a thorough answer to these questions. But I also want to make sure that we address the topic of today's training, which is working a daytime business. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to curb these 2 questions, and I promise that I will come back later this week and I will make a separate video training that specifically addresses this topic. Okay, so that will come separately. So now what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to put all of our remaining 3 follow-up questions into this video. So let me tell you what the 3 questions are so you can feel confident that we'll address these in our next video. Question is, how do you find a good company? What would you do if you were starting from scratch? And how does traditional party plan differ from network marketing, and which is better? Okay, so we'll address those 3 questions in our next video. And what we're going to do now is go back and redirect and fast forward to today's topic, which is, let's assume for the remainder of this conversation that you feel like you are in the company that's right for you, that you have found the right fit. Okay, now what? What do we do now? Let's go there. Okay. Not only does it have to be the right fit for you, but you've got to make it work, right? You've got to really roll your sleeves up and dig in and apply your elbow grease with your persistence and your diligence and studying and mastery and application of what you're learning. Again and again and again and again. And we also have to deal in reality of the mathematics, okay? If you only have a little bit of time to put into your business, it's okay, but you're probably not going to see success as quickly as someone who's putting in a lot of time. If they've got a lot of time and energy and resources to dedicate, you're going to move slower, obviously by nature, if you do not have the time, energy, and resources to dedicate. So I don't say that to make you feel bad. I say that to allow you to be fair to yourself and what you're expecting from yourself. Okay, what you put into it, of course, will determine what you get out of it. But that is assuming that you're comparing apples to apples. Okay, if you've got one company where the income path and the path for growth is a leaner, smarter, more current plan, then you will move, all of the things remaining equal, if you're putting in this, the same amount of energy into one plan versus the other, then you will move faster on certain plans, okay? But that's for the other conversation. What I want you to assume right now is that you are very happy where you are. You found the company that's right for you. You may have been there for 10 years and you're just now ready to take it seriously and start again, or you may be starting a brand new company. You may be new to the direct sales network marketing industry, or you may have been around for ages and you're ready to create a new story. Okay, either one is fine. But under the assumption that you're happy where you are, you found the right company, now you want to make it work for you. Now you've got to dig in and apply yourself and make it work. Where do we start? Okay. First of all, you've got to know what you want. Again, Napoleon Hill says, the world makes way for people who know where they're going. So you've got to know what it is that you want. And you've got to have the courage and the confidence to go after it. Okay? Now that means that you've got to absolutely have the confidence that comes from being trained in your business. You can have all the personal development skills in the world. You can have all of the professional development skills in the world. You can have all of the generic network marketing skills in the world. But if you don't learn your product, if you don't learn your compensation plan, you don't build a customer base, you don't get out there and actually apply what you've learned, the information living in your head isn't going to make you a lot of money. It's not going to do you a lot of good, okay? In fact, there's a very sad saying that this is why, professors, they don't make a lot of money. There are a lot of educators that are out there that are rich just based on their education career. Why? Because just knowing it isn't going to get you anywhere, okay? Now, that's kind of a harsh saying because we love our teachers and we love our educators, but they're not in it for the money. They're there because they love to help and they love to teach. So you've got to ask yourself, why are you here? Okay, if you're here for the money, you can't just know the information. You have to do. You have to apply. Okay, but again, this is not there's so many different tangents that we could take in this conversation. So we're going to stick to the topic. And this particular topic is how to build the business in the time of day, whether you want to work at the nights and on the weekends, whether you want to build a third shift business, or whether you want to build your business during the day, which is the specific example that we are going to use here, okay? The first thing that you've got to do is decide the amount of hours that you want to put in. So let's say you want to work 20 hours a week in your business, okay? It might be 10, it might be 60. Doesn't matter. You pick the hours that you want. Again, from my own personal story, when I was first getting started in the industry 8 years ago, 8 years ago? 9 years ago. Dang, 9 years ago. When I was first getting started 9 years ago, I was working a full-time job. I was working 50 hours a week in corporate banking. I was in graduate school at night and on the weekends. I traveled a lot. I didn't have a luxury of time. I certainly didn't have 20 hours to get started. I was starting off on 5, 6, 7 hours a week. But I chose to be very smart and very focused and very selective with what I did in those 5, 6, 7 hours a week. And very quickly I saw the amount of money I could make, and I thought, then maybe I can find it in 10 hours, and maybe I can find 12 hours. And so it started to grow as I saw. As you see the money coming in, it's funny how you can find more time, okay? But I started very, very small. So it's okay if that's where you are. I have lived there. I have been there. I have done it. It works, okay? But you have to understand that time invested in one area is time away from another. It's the sacrifice, okay? The give and take. So let's say you're gonna work. Let's say 10 hours. Let's even be super conservative. Let's go small, okay? So let's say that you want to work 10 hours a week. And let's say that you've got 2 hours a day. Okay, 2 hours a day, you're going to work your business. Okay, the first thing that you've got to do is decide when those 2 hours are going to be. They don't have to be the same every day, but you do need to have a plan of when they are. You may have this pattern for 1 week. The next week it may look a little bit different, or for a month it may look like this, and then for the next month you move your time around a little bit, and that's okay. But there's got to be some sort of organization. There's got to be a plan. There's got to be some sort of consistency so that you've got something to build from. Okay. So if I want to work 2 hours a day or 4 hours a day, first thing that I've got to do is I have got to build up my base. I've got to build my network. I've got to start working through my contacts. So let's say you've got a contact list of 100 people, okay? You've just sat down and made the list of everyone that you know, and you're working through with your 100 people, or maybe you don't want to start with people you know, and you're going out and building your business from scratch, which is what I did personally. Okay, and if that's the case, then you've got to spend the time. Let's say that at first I want to get to where I am holding 3 appointments a week. Okay, so if I know that in those chunks, those 10 hours, 3 of the days are going to be holding appointments. And then the other 2 days are going to be doing, phone work, prep work, follow up, that kind of thing. Okay. I've got my target in mind. I know that I want to end up with 3 appointments a week. It's not where I'm starting. Most people aren't going to start there. Unless you start through your warm contact list, you get those appointments on your date book, and then you make sure that you do not leave those appointments without another ones on your books to replace them. Okay, that's the one way that you can jump right to 3 appointments a week. The other way, the way that most people are going to be doing it, is they're going to be building up to that gradually. But here is the fatal mistake that most people make. They start off without 3 appointments a week, and they say, well, if I had an appointment today, I would hold it. But since I don't, I'm going to go do something else. And so you don't work your business. You don't work on building up to that appointment, so you never get to 3 appointments. So that's the fatal mistake, is that we just keep not working because we don't have an appointment. When what we need to do instead is spend that time getting an appointment. So for example, let's say that I want to hold appointments on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Okay? If today is Tuesday and I don't have any appointments, I'm going to spend all 2 hours working on booking appointments. I'm either going to go out and meet people, or I am going to do lead generating events, or I am going to be on the phone with the leads I've already generated, scheduling appointments. I'm going to try to schedule them for Wednesday, I'm going to try to schedule them for Thursday, and I'm going to try to schedule them for next Tuesday. So I'm going to be filling those empty time slots. And I keep working, filling those empty time slots, either on the phone or out where the people are, until I have them filled. The only time I stop booking is when I've got the appointment filled. So until I have a stacked full date book, I am lead generating, filling appointments, getting appointments, booking. And I don't stop until I have so many appointments on my books that all I'm doing is replacing them. So I go to appointment, I book the next one. I go to appointment from it, I book the next one. Go to the appointment from it, I book the next one. Okay, you don't have to do that forever. Assuming that you're in a smart marketing plan, you're going to be in an organization where it very quickly duplicates itself. And then you're moving into leadership and you're moving into duplication where you're helping other people do the same thing. But it starts with you, and that's where the solid foundation comes from. Okay, this right here could be, I mean, this is it. This is, honestly, this is it, okay? We could elaborate on it, we could expound upon it, we could talk about 9 million different scenarios and different examples, but this is it, okay? This is what you do. Then, once you've done that, okay, then again, you're taking them to the next step. You're taking them, you're scheduling their appointment. If they're getting started, if they're becoming a customer, whatever the case is, okay, then on as you round back, if you will, what you're going to do is you are going to hold yourself accountable to those times. And you're going to assess yourself on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis on, am I sticking to the times that I set for myself? I said I was going to work 10 hours this week. I didn't have any appointments. Did I work 10 hours anyway? Did I work 10 hours scheduling appointments? Did I work 10 hours generating leads? Did I get out there where the people are and work toward having these appointments on my date book? Doesn't matter what kind of industry that you're in. Doesn't matter what your particular company is. Doesn't matter if it's a commodity, you know, like energy, electricity, phone, or if it's a product, you know, like skincare or nutrition products. It doesn't matter. The same concept applies. Okay, so you block out the time. You hold yourself accountable to it. You fill it until you've got the appointments. And then you go back and you assess and you measure, you analyze, and then you continue to improve constantly. And that's it. Those are the checks and balances, okay? And then from the homework I gave you from the first part of this video, so to block out your time and then study and do some research on where do the people live during that block of time. So if I know, for example, that I want to build my business during the day, I'm going to look for where are people during the day. Well, some are at home. If they, you know, keep their home, or if they're full-time moms, or if they're unemployed, or if they work the night shift or the third shift, they're home during the day. Or I might have working professionals, and I might catch them, on their lunch break. And if they are, You know, a lot of professionals, they've got flexibility. So they can leave for a coffee break, or they can leave on a lunch break, and they can have a personal appointment during the day. And I'm going to go after those people that are really strong and professional, and they've got the confidence. They're not slaves to their job, but they're there by choice. And they're saying, yeah, I can leave. I can meet you for coffee. Yeah, I can, you can catch me on a lunch break, or you can catch me on the way to work or home from work, or whatever the case may be. So I'm going to go find those people. And it's, again, the basic law of economics is where supply meets demand. So I'm the supply. I got to find where the demand intersects. So I'm going to spend some time doing research and due diligence and getting out there and hustling to find these people and then position myself to where I meet their needs. Okay? But again, this is requiring me to roll up my sleeves and do the work. So it requires you to have a bit of moxie, a bit of courage, a spine, a backbone, some boundaries. Quit settling for what you can get. Quit just taking what's ever out there. The first thing that comes along, it's indecision. It's just settling for the first thing, as opposed to deciding what you want, going after what you want, and fighting for it, sticking with it until you create exactly what it is that you want. It is entirely possible to create a life you love, to provide for your family and still be there with your family and not sacrifice one for the other. It is possible. But it doesn't come to those who are mentally or physically lazy. You've got to be sharp, you've got to be hungry, you've got to want it, and you've got to be willing to go the extra mile to get out there and create it. Does it take a little bit of extra effort? Heck yes, it does. But why not? You can either be home and upset and miserable and constantly living in coulda, shoulda, woulda, beating yourself up and carrying that judgment and that guilt, or you can say enough is enough. This year, I'm going after what I want, and I'm not going to stop until I get it. It's so much more fun. Trust me, I have lived in both. It's so much more fun when you're there because you want to be there, and just surviving defeat. It's a horrible, horrible place to be. So you can choose victory or defeat, success or mediocrity, succeeding or settling. And guys, I'm not talking about money in the bank. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about your quality of life and your feeling of fulfillment and accomplishment and joy in your everyday experiences. You really can have it if you are hungry and willing enough to get out there and create it. Anyone can do it. But you got to have the persistence and the willingness to be coachable, to be humble, to admit where you've made mistakes, to admit where you've been wrong. Lord knows I've had to do that so much over the past few years. It's not easy. It's not fun. But it's worth it. I love you guys. I'm so grateful that you're on this journey with me. Thank you for pushing me and forcing me to learn the lessons, to learn the material, to share and to be raw and to keep it real. You lift me in ways I can't even put into words, but I'm so grateful that we get to be on this journey together. And as I promised, I will send out that next video answering the follow-up questions that we discussed a few moments ago. But for now, here is your training on how to build a business during the daytime. And again, once you watch this video, if you have questions and you want us to dig a little bit deeper, send those questions to me. And you never know, we could always make a next chapter. Love you guys. Bye for now.